the second Sunday of Christmas, my demo shared with me this little 1-inch deep, 3-inch by 4-inch tall open top box. Perfect for some candies, for a place setting, small gifts to go in there, perhaps a gift card, lots of options there. But we're going to see how we make this. It's pretty simple. We're going to begin with a piece of 5-inch by 8.5-inch evening evergreen cardstock. Now, remember, cardstock comes in an 8.5 by 11-inch sheet, so you just have to cut in one direction so that you have a 5 by 8.5-inch piece. I'm going to stick this into my Simply Scored tool, and I'm going to score at the 3-inch mark, the 4-inch mark, the 7-inch mark, and the 8-inch mark. This is going to yield a box that measures 3 inches wide across the front, 4 inches tall, and then 1 inch deep. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees and I'm going to score at 1 inch. That's all the scoring. You need to find the smallest rectangle on this sheet, and that is right down here in this corner. You're going to cut that completely off. And in fact, you're going to miter in a little bit from this other skinny end tab. This is the tab that's going to close your box. It's going to attach it to the other side. After we have those two edges mitered, you're going to cut up on this score line at the bottom. And I like to cut on the inside edge of the score line nearest the wider rectangle. I'm going to do that both places. These small flaps right here, we want to miter just to give a cleaner look to the edge of the box. I always miter so that you don't have little edges peeking out where you don't want them. And there we go. Once you have it like this, then you just need to burnish all of those edges. You want to get nice crisp folds so your boxes are nice and square. We're going to burnish on every single score line. So when you're putting this together, you want this little tab to go on the inside. And then this seam, that's the back of the box, which means that this tab, so this one that's in the middle, this long rectangle that's in the middle, that's the last one that gets folded over. I'm going to use my green glue for this. Remember, we want the tab on the inside. So I'm going to fold over that tab. And if I keep this folded right like that, I can just fold my box in half, give it a good press. Now, because this is liquid glue, you want to let it set up for just a second. Give it a little bit of time. All right, and then remember, this is where it attached, so that's the back of the box. We're going to fold in the side flaps, then the back comes in, and then the top goes forward. So I like to fold the little ones in, apply a little bit of adhesive, fold the back over, kind of squaring it up so that the sides meet nicely. And then I'm going to just apply a little bit more adhesive to the front flap, the flap that's coming off the front edge. And again, you need to let this set up a little bit. I like to flip it over. Use your bone folder to sort of press it down so it adheres pretty well. You can use a ruler, you can use a pencil, whatever you have. And so you've got a nice little finished bottom here. This is the front edge. You can see no seam. It's nice and clean. So we have just this cute little skinny box. Now we need to decorate it. Going to bring in my cottage wreaths set again that we used last week. And this week I'm going to use Soft Succulent, which is another one of the in colors. Goes beautifully with the Evening Evergreen. Now remember, we talked last week, I make it a little bit of a mark with a Sharpie on my stamp so I know that's up. That's going to match with the up piece, in this case, this little tab right here on the die. It will make lining up your dies a lot easier. So I'm going to stamp that so that my symbol up there is pointing up. I'm going to bring in the other wreath as well. I'm going to bring in this little twiggy wreath. And we're going to stamp that in, let's see. First of all, you can see my little mark. Let's go ahead and put that up as well. Let's see, do we want to do soft suede or early espresso? Let's see. I think this early espresso might be a little dark. So let's go ahead with the soft suede. And since it's a photopolymer stamp set, you can see where you're stamping. I'm just going to stamp over the top of my green. So it's twigs and leaves all at the same time. We're going to add something in just a minute. Let's go ahead and close up our ink. And we need to get our die out that's cutting it. Now, there are several dies in this set, and this one cuts out just the twigs. So if you were just using the twig wreath by itself, you could use this one. But because I'm using the other one, I'm going to go ahead and line this up right here. And you can see, because I have it pointed up, it's pretty easy to line up. It's in the uppish direction. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Last time, we added a bow out of real red cardstock that we die cut using this die. It puts nice little folds in it, gives it a little detail. This time we're going to use this detail, or this die, and you'll find that it gives a little bit less of a harsh look, a little bit more soft look if you stamp the bow. Again, the bow is a distinctive stamp, so it's going to give you some lighter and darker areas, and then we can cut this out with the bow outline. So here we have the wreath all die cut. We have our box base, and we have this bow. You can see last week's project. The bow is much brighter and more distinct. This one's a little bit of a softer version. You can obviously use the one you like. I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals and put this right around the wreath and attach it to the front of the box. Let's see how I want this to go. Just like that. And do we want the wreath on the side? I think maybe on the side, or do we do it on the top? Oh, let's go with the top. We will take a glue dot again to attach that. Remember, just as I mentioned last time, you want to stick the stamped item to it and pick up the glue dot that way. And there we go. If we want to add some more rhinestones, we can, or we can just keep a simple look just as we have it here. Let's take another scrap of cardstock and our real red ink. We're going to stamp the Merry Christmas, and I will try to line that up near the top. Although the word Christmas is longer, I probably should have lined it up near the bottom. But this is just going to allow me to use some of the edges that are currently there. Just cut out a little sentiment that can go right in the bottom corner of the box. Of course, you can put this anywhere you want, but that's where I've decided to put it. I just happened to grab my Stampin' Seal Plus. Stampin' Seal would work, the green glue would work. Just get that straight before I adhere it. And now we just need to find something to go inside. Here's another box I created using the same technique as the one we just did. I used Mango Melody for the cardstock base. I stamped some of the little spiders from this cottage reed set all over the background, also in Mango Melody. I stamped some basic gray twigs on basic gray cardstock and die cut that. Here I have a die cut ribbon from the sparkly, what's it called? From the current in color glimmer paper. So that sparkles nicely. And then this piece in here, that's actually the center of a wreath that had been cut out from this. And so when I had stamped on this to make this box, the spiders were just a little bit too much for me. Like, I don't really like spiders. I'm not, you know, too sketched out by them, but this was just a little bit too much for me, so I wanted to tone it down. But I had already cut a wreath out for another project, I think, and so this was also an in color color. This is the Parakeet Party, and so I just put that right in the center and stamped a boo on it. And so I filled it with some shreds that I made myself. I just took some white scraps and some of the Orchid Oasis scrap cardstock and Parakeet Party and stuffed it in there. I could put all sorts of little Halloween treats in there, some candy, some of those plastic spider rings. Ugh, spiders. But honestly, doesn't that just, creepy, right? I shouldn't be doing this right before bed, but I am. So anyway, Christmas, Halloween. Oh, I also have a Thanksgiving box too, somewhere. Maybe I don't. Here's a card I had done earlier, and I could do the same sort of thing that I did here, where I just stamp the twig wreath and then I stamp a whole bunch of other oak leaves around it and put some acorns on it. And then you could make a nice little Thanksgiving place setting for your guests if you host Thanksgiving. So lots of ideas. But this is your second Sunday of Christmas.